Hey friends, I'm here in Porto. I made it this morning about 9:30 a.m. and I'm admittedly pretty tired. Even though I only walked about 11 miles this morning, yesterday I walked 48 kilometers. And I did it because today is the funeral of my mom's husband and our stepdad, Louis Donahue, and being here in town in Porto, I could have good Wi-Fi to attend the funeral virtually and be there with everybody. But today's topic is inspired because of my walk yesterday. Enjoy being carried. So the night before yesterday's walk, I stayed with numerous other pilgrims at it's an albergue, but it's very unique. It's not a big dormitory where everyone's just thrown into one room. This was a house that had rooms that just had 2 beds in them and was clean, and they pulled out all the stops cooking us dinner and took time and were just available to all the pilgrims to visit and enjoy the journey. And while I was there, I will admit that when I was going to sleep that night, I felt a little daunted with yesterday's walk. I thought, wow, can I do it? And in my heart of hearts, I'm like, well, it's not can I do it? I need to do it. It's going to happen. And I can take the full day. I can take all the time that's needed to get there. But I've always found in my own spiritual life and path that when something needs to happen, I always find a great enjoyment in being carried in a felt sense that because it's meant to happen, that somehow I don't need to bank on any physical gifts. I don't need to bank on my mind. I don't need to bank on my body being capable of doing something. I don't need to bank on my heart being in the right place. That just by virtue of a trust and a faith in the meant to-ness of it, I can surrender into that and be carried in a very tangible way by spirit, and then have the joy of finding physically capabilities that I didn't know were there and come into play very effortlessly. So that's what I'm talking about enjoying being carried. And yesterday when I got up at 5:30 and was out the door still in the dark and walked those 48 kilometers, I didn't even need to practice resting into it, letting go and being carried, letting go. I just simply walked with this felt knowing that I was being carried. And all day long, I was having a joyful walk, and it was effortless. I got to my destination. That's a lot of miles. I got to my destination by about 5 in the early evening, and my feet weren't swollen, and I was tired, but not tired in a spent way. And that was because not only that I was carried, but that I let my joy be in being carried. Isn't that phenomenal? And I was thinking as I was walking this morning before this video, what would be a good image of that? And a baby came to mind. I hope you don't mind my analogies where I compare us to babies and little children. I feel that we're very much that in the spiritual life, so we can gain insight and wisdom from this younger generation. So think about when a baby is happily being carried by an adult. And as the baby's being carried, it's not even focusing on where it's going or how it's getting there. It's totally free to simply enjoy what's going on around them. So the baby's being held in the arms, and the baby will be looking at people and maybe making fun sounds and reaching for things and noticing trees and noticing cats, because the baby doesn't need to concentrate on how it's getting to its destination. It's being carried. That is the image that came to me about enjoying being carried. So it's one step to trust that in every situation, whether it's easy, whether it's challenging, that we're being carried. That has its own contentment with it. But it's altogether another realm if we open up, if we awaken into the joy of being carried, that it frees us up for everything else in our life. And I met the most awesome people yesterday as I was being carried along those 48 kilometers. In fact, I met mainly Spanish men. I had lunch with Spanish cyclists, and that evening, I'll post pictures later, there were these great Spanish men that we were Google translating to have fun talking. And then even this morning as I got up, a man from Italy walked with me for a ways. I was free. I was in the joy of being carried, and I was completely free. I just got here to my host in Porto, and we were chatting, and he says that he's never done a pilgrimage, but that his mom walked a pilgrimage to Fatima when he was still in the womb. And I thought, well, that's the greatest image of being carried, right? You're in the womb, just enjoying all of the fluid and the movement of your mom. You're not even looking around at that point. What would it be like to awaken into the joy of being carried? So it's 2 steps. Awakening into the realization that at every single moment in our lives we're being carried. Every moment. And then awaken into the joy that part of the fruit of knowing that we're carried in each moment is a freedom to enjoy everything else that's going around us. Think about an area in your own life where you feel it's all on your shoulders, where you don't feel that you're carried and everything you need is being supplied for, but maybe you even have strain in your mind or your heart. You feel responsible in a way that causes you stress. That can take a great amount of practice to realize or awaken into being carried in that, right? What would it be like if not only you had the felt sense of being carried in these challenging moments, but that you're carried in such a way that you can have joy to notice the scenery around you. And that in the process of doing that, you're not shirking on your duties. You're not being irresponsible or uncaring about what matters to you. You're actually caring for it in an even better way. What can be a way today that you let yourself be in the joy of being carried so that you can be freed up to enjoy the scenery of the path? I can tell you yesterday, it was funny because at the end of the day, I was sitting with 2 of the Spanish men, Jose and Mario. And Jose was joking with Mario, and he said, every time I saw Kimberly walking yesterday, she was like a little fiesta. He made this kind of motion like I was doing a little mariachi song and dance or something. And he's right. He's right. Being awoken up into that joy all day long, my whole soul was just singing, and I was singing the silliest songs all the way down the road. 12 hours. So that's the message for today, and I am super grateful that I made it to Porto for the sake of attending this funeral and to have been carried, that it was easy. So wherever you may feel daunted, remember that you can not only first awaken into the knowing that you're carried, but second, awaken into the joy that comes from experiencing yourself as carried and cared for. What you care for in your life is cared for by the divine. Okay, my friends, I love you. I see you, Charlie. Mwah! Bye.